So hi everyone, as Chris just said, I'm Lior, I'm the engineering manager in the reporting system that we developed for SecureSphere. And today we're going to present the DAM archive reader, which is an ETL tool to basically parse and load the event within an mprv audit archive into various endpoints. With me today are Kobe and Andrew. Kobe will present a roadmap of this product, and Andrew will do a live demo of it. If you enjoy it, quick disclaimer. Kobe, you can take this.
Yeah, so before discussing about the roadmap, it is very important, and presenting this disclaimer from former slide, it's very important that we are sharing a roadmap capabilities. The idea is that, some of it may not be delivered on time or may be changed due to feedback that we get from customers. Okay, this is the idea with this disclaimer. Next slide, please. Okay, so the DAM archive reader is actually, as Lior mentioned, our first delivery from a data forensic analytics and reporting platform that we are launching in the beginning of 21. Think about it as a big data platform for data security that will cover 4 main use cases gradually over the time. First, we want to focus on compliance reporting to provide a large-scale audit reporting for the entire data security solution. The second step will be to cover risk reporting that will consolidate in the sort of a single pane of glass risk data that we have both in DAM and DRA in one place to provide some more analytics and recommendation for customers of how to prioritize the investment on their databases. The third use case is forensics, targeting the threat personas that focus on threat hunting, allowing those personas actually to reduce the attack surface based on our recommendations, based on slice and dice and queries. And another use case is be able to run some enforcement workflows. So if you have all the data in one place in a big data platform, you can correlate different findings and actually trigger some response functions that could be relevant for a specific event or anomaly, for example. Okay, and all the data will be collected from mainly DAM and DRA, either from the gateways, from the DRA management, and from the MX. We'll collect all the classification scans and configuration, the discovery items. Okay, so this is the roadmap, and we are very happy to release the first capability that will handle the collection of all the audit events from the storage devices and the gateways. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Kobe. So as Kobe mentioned, this is the first milestone, the first piece in the bigger puzzle that is aimed to provide the data analytics and reporting system. And today we're going to focus mainly in discussion and in the demo on the blue part here in the middle of the DAM archive reader. So as you know, today the data is being collected from the databases, either using agents or in the future using DB Connects. From there, it's being sent to the gateways, and the gateway basically prepares files in mprv audit archive format. This is a proprietary file format of Imperva, compressed and normalized. And from there, those mprv files can be sent to NAS storage using policies. And as mentioned, the DAM archive reader is a tool that can extract the the audit archives and parse them and send them to endpoints, as you can see here. It can send the events either to a Kafka cluster or to a storage location. And it's important to say that each event there that will be saved will be in a JSON format. Another thing to mention is that within the MPRVs, the events are either aggregated or raw events. As you probably know, it depends on how the policy in the SecureSphere MX was configured. So the MPRV has both, depending on the policy, or one if the policy was only configured for aggregated events, and the archive reader supports both. So we output both the aggregated events and the raw events to the endpoints. Another thing to mention is that, as you probably saw, this tool is publicly and free, and is free now to download from Docker Hub, and is Docker-based, of course. So this tool can be used in two approaches. One approach is that the policy is configured to, the SecureSphere policy is configured to send the MPRVs to a NAS location. And from that folder, the archive reader is basically monitoring all the new MPRVs that are being sent there. And whenever a new one is being put there by the SecureSphere, the DAM archive reader will immediately parse, extract, and load it to the desired location. Or another mode of use is that you can take your legacy MPRVs from years back and have the tool handle them and send them to your location of choice. Since, of course, as mentioned, the tool is aimed to support legacy MPRVs. So we're basically supporting very old version of SecureSphere, assuming your MPRVs are very old, from a older version of SecureSphere. So we're supporting back to version 11. At the moment, it will probably even support before that, but we tested down to 11 and up to version 14, which is the latest one at the moment. Another important thing to mention is that we also support encrypted inside MPRVs. So as you may probably know, the SecureSphere has the capability of either encrypting or signing the MPRVs audit archives, and the archive reader supports them, and we'll see that supportability in the demo that Andrew will do very soon. That's about it for the archive reader, for the DAM archive reader. I'll quickly show a few slides about the future use of the archive reader. So as you saw before, currently the archive reader only supports either Kafka or flat files, and we intended to be part of the vision for the data reporting platform is that this tool will be part of that solution, meaning it will also support pushing the events to a commercial database. And on top of, as you can see here, and on top of that commercial database, we'll develop, and we're in progress actually of developing a fresh UI from scratch, and not using the look and feel of the current SecureSphere, but more using the more modern and up-to-date frameworks that Imperva uses for its new products. And needless to say, we were putting a lot of effort of that solution to be fully scalable, both up and out. There's a lot of benefit here of having the data very compressed. And basically, the archive reader will still be part of the equation here. It will just send it directly to that database, and our UI layer will basically accessed it. Going further down into the future, we aim that the gateways won't produce MPRVs at all. They'll stream the data to that commercial database, to the array. So both will get the data in streaming and not in batches. The DAM archive reader will still be in use, but mostly for the older legacy audit archives. So it will still be part of the equation, but for the legacy MPRVs. And this is, as you can see, more like Q3 2021. This is a goal that we want to have. So the data from the gateways will be streamed to various consumers, such as DRA and our commercial database, which the data reporting platform will use. Okay. So if there aren't any questions, we can move directly to the demo. Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, no questions as of yet. So
okay, we can also we'll have a Q&A at the end if needed.
Okay.
Okay, I'll stop sharing and I'll let Andrew take the lead.
Yeah, so just while that's coming up for everybody, as both Chris and Lior have mentioned, I'm Andrew, one of the developers who helped put together the DAM archive reader. So I'm going to give you a run through of the capabilities of it and just how to use it and what it does. So as Lior has already mentioned, the DAM archive reader is available on Docker Hub. You're able to pull it down free of charge and spin it up using Docker with no external dependencies. Everything's self-contained. So to kick off the demo, I will start by pulling it down. So I'm going to demo in two different methods. I'm going to demo exporting to a local JSON file in non-daemon mode and to a Kafka cluster with SSL enabled. In daemon mode. So non-daemon mode, the service runs, loads all the MPRV files, and then exits if no more come along within a minute. In daemon mode or service mode, it runs continuously, and it never shuts down. It basically watches for MPRV files coming in as and when they are available, extracts them, and then forwards them. So I'll just get a couple of windows up on screen. So on the left-hand side window, I'm going to be configuring the archive reader. And on the right-hand window, I will be showing you some of the outputs. We've no nice GUIs. It's all command line, so bear with me. So I'm going to pull the image down from Docker Hub. That will take couple of seconds. And just while that's doing it, so we have to set up a few folders to configure the archive reader so that it can run. The 4 folders are on screen there. You've got the config directory, which will contain all the configs for the archive reader itself and any consumers or endpoints that we add. The output directory you need to include if you are going to export to a local JSON file. The source directory, for the purpose of the demo, is where the MPRV files will be placed. It's the directory that the archive reader will be watching and polling for new files. In most scenarios, this will be a NAS storage that will be attached to your machine. But for the purposes of the demo, it's on the local machine. And the working directory is the final directory, which will contain all the log output for the archive reader and any files that it is in the process of processing. So that if the archive reader were to exit or the machine were to die, it should be able to pick up where it left off. So I'm going to go into some details about the config. As you can see there, I already have 7 files that I've created earlier for the purpose of the demo. So I've added my Kafka key stores and trust stores because my Kafka cluster is SSL enabled, and those are required in order to send the data to Kafka. I've also added the SecureSphere key store and SecureSphere key store properties files, as I will be demoing encrypted mprv files and unencrypted mprv files. So the first demo I'm going to run through is non-daemon mode and a local file output. So first of all, I need to configure the archive reader.properties. So all of this information is available on Docker Hub. Sample configs, what you need to add if you want to add more consumers or change your consumers, SSL enabled, Kafka clusters, etc. So it's all of anything that I will be showing here is available on the documentation on Docker Hub. So I'll quickly switch back. So the vast majority of this file we don't need to change as it is contained within a Docker container, as we will be using a local file output. You need to add a consumer. So I've called mine file1, and I've specified the output type to be local, and that will be a JSON file format. I've also added in the private key alias for the SecureSphere keys, the signature key alias for it. The files that I'm using, the aliases were encryption 1 signature key, and I've also added the path to our config directory and the SecureSphere keystore.kst. Secondly, because we're outputting to a local file format, you need to add a local consumer property stuff file. And all this is saying is I want to output to this directory within the Docker container. And of course, we will be mounting the output directory, so you will see that when I run the DAM archive reader. So that is the two properties file. One other thing to probably mention is the consumers are appended with or prepended with consumer. File1 is the name of your consumer. It can be anything. I've just called it file1, but you're free to name that to whatever you want, provided it matches the archive reader.properties consumer. So that is the properties that we're going to be using for the local demo. As you can see, there's nothing in the output, and nothing in the source directory, and nothing in the working directory. So I'm going to move an encrypted mprv file and an unencrypted mprv file into the source directory. So we've got file1 and file2. So as you can see, those are now both in the source directory. And if I go to the output directory, and I'll just put in the background. So I've already pulled the image, and I am going to run it now. Just getting the command. So this is a basic Docker run command. We are mounting the 4 volumes. So I'm mounting the config directory, I'm mounting the source directory, and I'm mounting the working directory, and finally the output directory. I'm also specifying to run in daemon mode false, and I'm also giving the JVM inside 4 gig of RAM. If you are processing extremely large mprv files, so 200 megabytes and upwards, it would be advisable to provide more RAM to it. So, okay, I think we are pretty much good to run. And off we go. So it's just starting up. Scanning the source directory, and as you can see, it is now processing the mprv chunks. As it's running in non-daemon mode or non-service mode, it started a shutdown timer, and the application will exit, provided you don't copy in any more mprv files into the source directory that it is watching within the 1 minute. But that is configurable in the archive reader.properties. And I'm in the output directory, so yes. So as you can see, it creates a file1 directory. And I have a JSON files. So as you can see, at the end, there is .aggregate and .raw JSON. So those are the aggregate events from the mprv file and the raw events. And if I do get on one of those files, will do. You can see events. So you can see event IDs, queries, etc. on our test data, which is real data from SecureSphere, from our test team.
Great. It's a great demo, Andrew.
So that's the local files. Now we're getting to the exciting stuff with the Kafka cluster that opens up a world of opportunity of where you can send your data to. So again, for the purpose of this demo, I have a small Kafka consumer. It is set up to only subscribe to the raw events topic for convenience. You can subscribe to both topics or set it up otherwise. There are Kafka consumers for basically any data store that you can think of, whether it be Elastic or Splunk or whatever. So once you get the data into Kafka, you're pretty much free to do whatever you want with it. So let me see. Shut that down. And I'm now going to modify the archive reader.properties. So instead of a file, a consumer, I'm going to have a Kafka consumer. So I'm just going to call it Kafka1, and it's of type KAFKA. And I don't need to change anything else here. So back in my config directory, I've already copied in to the config directory the Kafka properties. For the purpose of the demo, the Kafka cluster is running locally. As I've said before, it's SSL enabled, and I've already copied across my Kafka trust store, key store, and the passwords for both of those. And I've also specified the name of the topics that we will be outputting to. Again, you're free to call that whatever you want, but for the purpose of the demo, it's audit raw events and audit aggregate events. So, okay, so we're going to run in daemon mode. Again, both with an encrypted mprv file and an unencrypted mprv file. Just clear that. Oh, that's my Kafka cluster. That wasn't meant to come up. And here we go. So we'll just knock that down a few lines. As you can see, the Docker run command is pretty much similar. Because my Kafka cluster is running locally, I have specified network host just because I'm dealing with the SSL certificates and the CN name in it is localhost. So I have to specify the network to be host. In your case, you won't need that. You will just specify the DNS name or domain name of your Kafka cluster. The config is pretty much all the same: config directory, source directory, a working directory. We don't need the output directory, so I haven't included it here. And I've specified daemon mode to be true. So let's start that up. few warnings been thrown. We're subscribed. And we will just copy across the encrypted file. So it'll take a few seconds. Yep, it's picked it up. You can see it's processing the chunks, and my consumer has subscribed and is starting to process the data coming into the topic. Again, I've only subscribed to the raw events, but you can subscribe to both. And then for unencrypted, it's pretty much the same. And you can see it's processed the file and I put in, and that wasn't supposed to happen. So a disconnect exception. Okay, I need to look into that. So the curse of the demo, not everything goes to plan.
Andrew, it always happens, so no worries.
I don't think I've done a demo yet where something hasn't been run.
Yeah,
but it's not the worst thing that could have happened. At least it had processed the encrypted file.
Yeah.
So a few other things to point out then. So the logs are stored in the working directory, so you're able to debug. It's also sent to std out. So if you're running the archive reader in Kubernetes or Swarm, you should be able to forward your logs onto your centralized logging system. The other thing to note is we don't delete the mprv files when we process them. They're moved to this backup directory so that they will not be lost. That pretty much concludes the demo from my end. If there's any questions.
Yeah, there is, Andrew. There's one. So can we choose any other message broker? Is one question.
Kafka is all we support at the moment.
Okay. So there's no other things that we support.
What other message brokers, ActiveMQ or RabbitMQ or something along those lines? Or at the minute, Kafka is all that we support. Okay. I'm not sure if there's any roadmap or if we will support other message brokers in the future. Okay.
It's good. Another question: is there an upper limit to the quantity of data this can handle? So some of this guy's customers or Paul's customers have terabytes of mprvs to process, and there's another question in that. But any thoughts on that?
So
yeah,
so we should be able to support all that. We tested a large data set, about 70 gigs. We're still in the middle of testing it. In theory, there shouldn't be any problem of handling all this amount of data, assuming that you have enough of storage to accommodate for these big files. So yes, in theory, we should be able to handle terabytes of mprvs.
Okay. And is there is this Docker database encrypted in any way?
So it's a good question. We don't have any database, like the Docker itself doesn't contain any database within it or any persistent data. Everything is in memory, or there are files that are stored in locally, but they are deleted the moment we finish processing and sending the events. As Andrew mentioned, we do support encrypting the traffic to Kafka. And in the next release, we plan to support encrypting the files, the files that are saved as well. So all the outputs formats will be encrypted from our end.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions for now. And there is a comment that says, "Well done."
Thank you. And yeah, thanks, Andrew, for the great demo.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
And we still have more, right? Or is... Oh, there is another question. So do we have a size limit per .mprv file and an amount of .mprv file? So for example, can we open thousands of archive files at the same time?
Okay, another good question. Currently, we only process one mprv at a time, since the archive reader isn't optimized to handle several at once. We do support sending the events to Kafka in parallel. It's a bit of a low-level explanation, but in general, once the mprv is parsed and the events are prepared, and then we have numerous threads that I can send it towards Kafka or two files in parallel. But currently, there's only one thread that parses the mprv itself. We do plan that in future releases, we'll open that bottleneck, and we'll resolve the memory issues and performance issues, and we'll allow handling more mprvs at once. And I'm not sure that regarding Mustafa's question, I'm not sure that we'll support opening 1,000 at once, and it's a bit of a challenge. But we around 10, I think it will allow us to get a good performance benefit.
One other thing to note is mprv files are heavily compressed, so there's about a 1 to 200 ratio. So while we could, in theory, do it for smaller files, there's just such a variance in mprv files out in the wild there that at the minute we've had to lock it down to 1 until we can reduce the memory footprint.
That makes sense. Oh, there is another question. So can we run the archive reader in Red Hat or Oracle Linux S.0?
Anything that runs Docker, or if Kubernetes is your orchestration engine, then it can run there. Provided you have Docker, you can run this anywhere.
Great. Eric, hopefully that helps. Yeah, he said awesome. So, do you guys have anything else to present, or?
That's more or less covers it. We do plan to add some point of contact in the Docker Hub page in the next weeks. So if you have any questions, you'll be able to contact us via that Docker Hub page. So stay tuned, and we'll update through there.